Thank you everyone for joining us today. Today is Monday, April 11th. It's posture alignment with Kimberly. Go ahead, Kim.
Thank you. Short, sweet, to the point. Welcome everyone who is new and welcome everybody else who's been around for a really long time. We're going to give you a whole lot of easy stuff and then some harder stuff for everybody who's ready for the challenge. Someone earlier mentioned that they wanted to catch up. There really is no catching up to do. Every class is different, and I address every class as if there were new people in it. So don't feel like you've missed anything. You haven't. As far as the tools that we're going to use today, first off, the tool that is most important is you and your body and what your body tells you. So if you've never done this work before, this type of postural work, it teeters upon how you feel and what your body's telling you. So if something doesn't feel right today, if something is giving you pain and it's the bad pain, you need to know the difference between the two, just sensation or actual pain, then just stop the movement. I'll give you as many modifications as I can think of while I'm going through this. But if something isn't working out, don't get discouraged. You might find something, one or two moves afterwards that really, really helps an awful lot. So don't get discouraged, but listen to your body, because I don't live in it. You do. The tools that we're going to be using today, don't worry about that. We're going to be using a belt, which is a real belt off of your pants. I'm talking a leather belt or something that's a strap, so that when we actually put pressure on it, it does not give you, it gives you an awful lot of resistance. So you don't want this to stretch. You don't want to use those PT rubber things, no. And you don't want a fashion belt for you ladies. I want you to use a real belt. If you got a boat and you need to take a line off of that, use that. But we need something that is an actual belt. We're going to use that. Other thing we're using today is a block. Some of you have yoga blocks. You don't have that? A pillow will do. I've even had some people use a full roll of Bounty. Just get creative, find stuff around the house. If you're taking a pillow off of your bed, fold it in half. Awful lot of resistance. Again, we want a lot of resistance. We don't want something that's really going to compress and blow the feathers out like a Donald Duck cartoon. Other thing that we're going to use today is going to be a chair. Either you use a chair in your kitchen, or maybe you have an ottoman at home. It's about 26, 24 inches, something that comes up to the height of your hip. We're looking at something the length of your thigh bone, so that when we do our work, when we lay down on the ground, that we can trap the body in the appropriate way to force the body to change. And that's what we're going to be doing today. It's all about force. Kidding. It's not about force. It's about giving your body stimulus. So we're going to start out today. No, I wasn't going to take the hardest one. We'll save that for later. Let's stand up. I want you guys to do a little bit of an assessment, because there are so many new people here today. Why don't I just bring you along for the very, very, very beginning? And we're going to do an assessment. Everybody can benefit from this. You're just going to march in place a little bit and then stop and just notice where you are today. Are you leaning more left, more right, more forward, more back? Maybe you can't even tell what's going on. Maybe you can't stand up. It's okay. You might have to be sitting in a chair. That's cool. Just notice where your body's showing up today. If you really can't feel it and tune into it, close your eyes. Hang on to something so you don't fall down, and just feel. Is my body swaying? What's happening? Now I'm going to give you a functional test. So we're going to see, pick up one of your legs. I don't care which one. You're going to raise your knee up to the height of your hip. One of your legs, either one. I don't care which one it is. Just a couple seconds and put it down. Just notice what happens to your body. You're going to pick up the other leg. Usually the first leg that you left down is the side that you tend to lean more heavily on. And that's something I look at when I'm working with people one-on-one sometimes. So just notice what happened when you picked up your legs. Did you fall down? Did you feel more stable on one side than the other? Hope you didn't fall down. We're going to do a forward fold now. You don't have to touch the floor, but I want you to go in the direction of touching the floor. So just hang, see what hits the floor, see how far you go. Maybe you just end up here. Maybe one side feels tighter behind you or the other. Not sure. Maybe you can't do this because it's painful. Just check it out. There is nothing specific that I'm going after in any of these classes. All of the work that I do is going to stimulate your body, and we're relying on your body's wisdom to correct itself. So any pains that a lot of you might show up with due to your posture, we're going to address it. So I want you guys to grab your pillow or your block, and we're going to do a standing at the wall move. Stand at the wall. So you're going to bring your heels to the wall or the door. See, I have a wall. but you might not have that. What we're going to do is just stand at it. Now, this is going to get a little uncomfortable. I'm going to have you guys, if you have a pillow, fold it in half or even in thirds. You're going to put your feet hip distance. So that's right underneath your hips, everybody. It doesn't matter how much cheesecake we've eaten. The hip is the joint I'm going after, not the skin outside. So hip distance, about a fist, a little bit bigger in between your big toes. That's usually hip distance. You're gonna bring your heels to the wall, keep your feet in place. Feet are pointed straight ahead. And now you're gonna kind of maneuver this block in between your knees, but don't move your feet. So what we're going for is we're gonna get some pressure onto the legs. And if your knees stay straight enough, it's gonna force this work into your hips, into your back, and it's actually gonna change the posture of your shoulders, position of your head, and some more stuff. So it's going to feel awkward at first. And if it feels too awkward, it doesn't feel right, or you start getting pain, just take the block out. You can stand at the wall without the block. So I'm just maneuvering my block around so that I can straighten my knees and get the work done. Here's a caveat for this move. If you've got a different shape on your butt and it's actually forcing you away from the wall so that your hips are coming out way further than your legs, and you feel like you're falling forward, it's probably because of the shape of your butt. So you're just going to take a step forward. The point of this move is that you want to stack your load-bearing joints. Load-bearing joints are ankles, knees, hips, and shoulders. We're just stacking those. That's the point of this move. We're just going to give the body some time to work itself around the position that we're giving it. Granted, none of you do this at all throughout the week. Nobody stands hip distance with a block in between their legs, forcing your tissues to start to wake up and work in a different way. So that's why it has a tendency to feel awkward. But what we're doing is we are stimulating the body today with all of these different moves that some feel weird, and some are just things we've never even imagined that we would put together in some sort of motion or move to do. And the body may thank you for it. Stand here for another maybe minute and a half, 2 minutes now. This is usually a 4-minute long move because it actually takes the body that long to change in a move like this. Some moves might take 5 minutes, some moves 10 minutes, some moves 1 minute or 5 breaths. And everybody is also different. So when you get used to these corrective exercises, you start realizing what they do to your body, and then you can discern whether this move is good for you, you get a benefit from it, or this move, no, it actually hurts me now, or it makes me go in the opposite direction. So that's what I'm hoping all of you are going to learn about yourselves as we work together. It's not really a good business model because I teach everybody so much that hopefully they don't need me anymore. You learn so much of these moves and you start learning from your body. That's the premise of this postural program. It's to help you learn about your body. Your body is what we're trying to listen to, and your body can correct itself. It got itself into whatever the heck posture it's in right now. And if that's causing you pain due to that position, we're going to help the body remind itself how to get back to neutral, really. 40 more seconds or so, everybody. Remember, keep your knees straight. You're going to keep the feet straight ahead. Hopefully you don't have socks on. You're not sliding out across the floor. Really want to keep the feet in that position right underneath the hips. The feet are pointed straight ahead. So this should feel awkward. This is an awkward move. I'm going to give you 1 or 2 more moves in this vertical load-bearing position, standing up, and then I'm going to take everybody to the floor. I'll give you modifications if you can't get to the floor, because I don't accept won't. If you won't get to the floor, then it seems like there's still a choice. So if there's a choice and you're choosing, nah, I don't want to get on the floor because you're lazy, or even sometimes because you're scared, I may not accept that, but that's down to you. I'm not there with you. Some of my students have had stories over the years that I have at least led them down the path of the floor is no longer a scary place for them. They've overcome that fear, and now it's no problem. The floor should not be scary. That's not a good place to get to. All right, we're gonna come out of this. Whew, legs feel like noodles after that, a little different, right? I'm gonna take you to a forearm stretch. Now this move is done with the wall. We're gonna use the wall to trap our body again. You're gonna take your hands and you're gonna place them on the wall in front of you, just like this. So pretend you're looking through a glass wall at me. I'm trying to demonstrate where I'd like your hands to be, but your body's gonna tell you where they're gonna end up. So I'm holding my elbows and my wrists at this 90-degree angle. This might hurt some of you. If it does, you can lower your hands down the wall and you can see that the angle isn't quite as acute, and that's gonna feel a little bit better for you. But the point of this move is to actually get the shoulders to come back and down. So when we lean into the wall, we place the hands on the wall, feet are hip distance, just like our last move. When we lean in, you want the shoulders to articulate. So watch my shoulders. I lean in and my shoulders come back and down. I didn't move with my hips forward. I'm not moving with my head forward. It's almost like doing a push-up with your hands in this funny position. And the shoulders come back and down. We just stay there. We're going to hang out there for 1 minute. And everybody who's new, let me just eradicate any worry at all. Even if you screw these moves up and you think, oh, I'm not doing it right, I did it wrong, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. And the reason why it doesn't matter is because as long as you're giving your body some new input, some new stimulus, it's going to change around that. So some of the books that you've maybe purchased or taken out of the library over the years, Pain-Free or Pain-Free for Women, all these posture books, thousands of people have read these books, and guaranteed thousands of people have screwed up the moves and not done them right. However, they come out all the better for it. Their body still reminds itself, hey, we can change. So don't worry about it if you think you're screwing it up. Your body's going to adjust around whatever stimulus you give it. And maybe next week you'll find out something new about this very same move and go, oh, I could do that different. Okay, good. Come off. Oh, actually felt pretty good. I'm going to take you down to the floor. We're going to do an upper spinal floor twist. Those of you that know it, go ahead and get into it. Everybody else, some of you might be sitting in a chair. Hi, Jim. Good to see you. You might be sitting in a chair. You might not be able to get onto the floor. So upper spinal floor twist is just a twisty move. You can sit in a chair and you're going to twist your chest in one direction and hold. Everybody ready to get on the floor? Here we go. One of my favorites. We're going to hold it for 1 minute. You're going to lay on the floor. Remember how I looked in the chair just now? Nice 90-degree angles. I want you to do that on the floor. So I'm going to put my knees at 90, my hips at 90, and I'm stacking my knees and ankles on top of each other. I want you to use your bottom hand. I'm on my left side, so I'm going to use my left hand. Bottom hand holds your knees glued together. It must. We want to trap the lower body in place and let the upper body change around that. So I'm going to take my right arm up and over, and right here, my body starts getting tight. So it just kind of hangs in the air, and that's okay. Let it hang. This is going to feel like a stretch, but do not let your legs slip. That's all I'm doing. So if you've got a shoulder injury, maybe this move does not feel so good to you. You might want to get into the sitting position that I was just in that showed you. That'll take the leverage off of your shoulder. There's another opportunity here. You can rest your hand on your ribs if that's too much leverage on your shoulder. Also, when I had, remember when I was doing the surgery thing and I ripped my shoulder, I was resting my arm on a pile of pillows behind me because it was just too much for my healing arm at the time. So there's that option. In a perfect world, the direction that we're going for is your shoulder and your arm should be laying on the floor at the same time that your knees are stacked. That's the direction we're going for. That's where the body should end up. But most of us don't end up there because we've got deviations, we've got postural dysfunctions. Okay, come out, everybody. I'm going to switch to the other side. You get to see my ugly side. Kim's ugly side. And again, if this is not for you on the floor, you could sit in the chair, just like I showed you, and twist your body in the opposite direction. 1 minute. Stack your knees, hold them glued. Arm opens. Ugh. Pop, pop, pop. Little adjustment. It's okay. Here's a little caveat here. If you cannot see your fingers in your peripheral vision, your hand probably slid towards your butt. And that's going to take your shoulder joint, the glenohumeral joint, and it's going to tent it up towards the ceiling. And you're going to feel this all in the joint rather than across your chest and into your back. So you want to keep your arm in a beautiful, beautiful line. Wrist, elbow, shoulder, shoulder, straight line. Keep it there. I'd rather your hand be higher, almost in line with your ear, than in line with your butt. Again, if this is painful, you can either opt out of the move, take it in the chair and sit, or you could rest your arm on your ribs. Same idea. Let's take it into pelvic tilts, ladies and gentlemen. Pelvic tilts, nice and easy. Okay. Oh, darn. Of course I wore black. All right. I'm going to pull the blue shirt down so you can see. Pelvic tilts. This is the hook lying position. So I'm laying with my knees bent. You can do this in a chair too. Just going to rock the pelvis back and forth. Tuck under and arch back. So it's like a boat rocking back and forth, but it's not a bridge. Some of you who have never done pelvic tilts before, you're going to end up doing something like this maybe. I'm not lifting my butt up off of the floor. I'm just rocking the pelvis back and forth. We're all adults here, but everybody gets this when I explain it this way. It's the humping motion. And you might get a little chuckle out of you, but that's what I mean. That's what it is. So you're tilting the pelvis back and forth. It's anterior, posterior. When I used to work for all the gyms, every student would understand it when I explained it that way, and then they'd get it. So if this is difficult for you, now you get it. Okay, everybody, I am going to move us on. Let's do frog and work into the shoulders. So frog, if you're not on the floor with me, you can do this sitting in a chair. So you're going to put the feet together and let the knees drop out. I'm going to stay on the floor and do this. Of course, I'm on the squeaky part of my floor. Whoops. And we're going to move into the shoulders. I'm going to take you into pullovers. It's a nice, easy one. If frog position hurts, you can go back to the hook line position where we were just in. Now, if you're sitting in a chair, this is going to be a little difficult to pull off, but you can do it. You're going to reach your hands right in front of your chest, everybody. So if you're on the floor, up towards the ceiling, elbows stay straight, and you're going to drop your arms backwards, overhead behind you. The goal is the floor, but I don't want you to bend your elbows to reach the floor. Everybody understand that? Your elbows must stay straight. As soon as your elbows bend, what's going to happen is it's just like a seesaw. If that plank of wood does not stay straight, you lose the leverage effect. So if you bend your elbows, it's not going to work through your shoulder and the back the way we want it to. So you have to keep your elbows straight. When the elbows bend, it starts to form the cheat. And this is pullovers in frog position. I'm going to do reverse presses. You can come either to the static back position if you guys know it. You can stay in frog if you want to, or you can come to the hook lying position. So my knees are bent now. And this will be done in a chair, same way. We're just going to squeeze the shoulders into the floor or back and down, just like we did when we were standing against the wall. So you can leave your arms out at the 45-degree mark right here with your palms up, or if you feel like you can, you're going to take your arms into this goalpost position, like so. And again, we're just going to squeeze the shoulder blades together into the floor. It's a very small motion. Keep it light. Use your elbows as a little bit of an assist. We're just squeezing the shoulders back and down over and over. I'm just going to sit up so I can show you. Hopefully you can see. As it progresses into the summer, I'll have less clothes on, so you'll be able to see what's going on in my shoulders. So just squeezing the shoulders back and down over and over into the floor. So even if you're sitting up in a chair, you can do this, just squeezing the shoulders together. If you feel too much of this in your neck, it's probably due to a compensation. You really want to feel this right between the shoulder blades. So if you feel a lot of this in your neck or in your upper trap, you're just going to bring your elbows a little closer to your body, or even skip that together and just rest the arms on the floor with your palms up. It's a light squeeze, so don't squeeze too hard. The harder you go, the more your entire back is going to compensate and start lifting everything up to the sky. No, 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 no. This is an isolated move right in between the shoulders. Light squeeze. There's a tendency to effort, right? Because we want to get things right. We want to get them done. We want to force things. Sometimes we have that mentality, you know, go, go, go. But you'll find with these routines that I give you, more often, if you give 50% of your effort, you'll get way more effectiveness out of it. The harder you try, the more compensating your body will do, and we don't want it to compensate. Again, we're doing over and over, squeeze, 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 squeeze. That's it. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. We're going to use that frog pullover move that we did as a functional test, just like the first 3 moves that we did. We're going to come back to those at the end if I can remember. So we're going to use the frog pullovers as a functional test. Come back to your frog and go for your pullovers again and see what changed. You can use any of these moves that I give you as a functional test, any of them. And when we're done, you could try standing at the wall again. You can try doing the forearm stretch against the wall again, and you're going to notice what changed. That's your body giving you input, feedback. Lovely, everybody. I'm going to take you to a hands and knees move now. Hands and knees is not an easy move for everybody. So if it stinks for you, you can sit on your chair and do cats and dogs, but I'm going to do a static extension position. Static extension is not an easy one, but it can be done. I'll show you a modification later. Starts on hands and knees. Make sure your hands are shoulder distance and your knees are hip distance. Again, about a fist distance between your knees. Now we're going to move the hands 6 inches forward. So wherever your palms are, I want you to put your palm where your fingertips are. Now put your shoulders right back over your wrists. See, it's not that much that I moved. It's only 6 inches. Now you think like a sway back horse. Let your shoulder blades collapse. Let your belly fall to the floor and let your head drop. This is not an easy move. No, it's not. An alternative for this move might be coming to the wall again and doing that forearm stretch. So if you can't take it to the floor today or something hurts, you could do this again. You could do it this way if you wanted to. But again, we want to get the shoulders to trap themselves back and down, just like those moves that we did on the floor. I'm going to hang out for about another 1.5 minutes, everybody. We are in static extension position. Some of you who are new, you might notice your elbows keep bending. You might have this going on. Whoa, that's just your shoulder that does not want to do its work. It doesn't want to load. So we're going to try and remind it that it has to load by stancing your hands out a little bit wider, and then your elbow will probably be able to stay straight and your shoulders can come back and down more easily. So that's just a little bit of a Band-Aid. Just a little Band-Aid. If you notice your elbows keep bending. Good, we're moving right along. I was so excited when they told me there's 15 new people that signed up for class. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Just incredible. All right, come on out. Static extension position over. I'm going to have you guys come to your seat, and you're going to bring your block and you're going to bring your strap or belt with you. You come to your chair. I have to take this off. It gets too squishy with the lifts. Your strap and your block with you. I'm going to do some seated moves. And then if you're lucky, I may take you guys into some of the harder stuff, the harsher stuff. Hope you're still with me, everybody. So keep your strap nearby. In the sitting position for these next moves, I'm going to ask you to sit in extension. Sit in extension, everybody. So extension, I want extension of the pelvis. You can certainly extend from your spine like so. If I were to lift my sternum, it'd look like this, but I don't want that. That's called a cheat. I want your pelvis to do the work. So similar to the pelvic tilts we did on the floor, I'm going to take it from a posterior tilt. Here, let me use this to demonstrate. So if this was my pelvis as it sits right now, I'm going to tuck my tailbone under, and that's a posterior tilt. I want to roll my pelvis in the opposite direction to an anterior tilt. So I'm just going to roll until I have a little arch in my lower back. And that's what I did with my pelvis. I just demonstrated with the block. Now you're going to put the block in between your knees. Make sure your feet are pointed straight ahead. Nice 90-degree angle. Again, we're sitting in the pelvic extension. So we're putting a little arch in our lower back. And now thigh master, squeeze and release. So I'm putting pressure onto this block over and over and over again. This is such a basic move. Such a basic move. You could do this while you're sitting down at your computer. I wish my sister would do it more often. She's got some of the worst posture I've ever seen. She's probably going to rip me up for telling her that in public. She does. She can benefit from doing something like this as she sits at her job. I call them movement breaks. So if you're sitting doing something, the same something over and over and over again, your body wants to be efficient and it wants to conserve energy. So what it's going to do is it's going to ask the fascia and the tissues to remember this position. And after a while, it just can't get back to its original neutral. And that's how we end up with postural deviations that stay. And then it turns into a dysfunction where the body can't recruit those muscles anymore. So we have to give corrective exercise to fix it. Check yourselves if you're new. Are you still sitting in extension, or did it kind of shift and turn into lifting your sternum? If that happened, just take a break, rest, and you could roll the pelvic tilt forward again and put a little arch into your lower back and continue. That's going to happen, especially with muscles that have been weakened over time because they're not used to doing the work they're designed to do. And so it'll do this flip-flop roll where it'll start to give up and it'll shift all of that work into your back and you'll end up like this again. I don't think I'm speaking over anybody's heads. I'm trying my best to stick in layman's terms, but to also teach you new terms so you can come along. We're going to switch out the block for the strap now. Whew, I hope you guys were feeling that in your legs. Everybody's going to feel it in a different spot, but ultimately we want that move to be felt right here, right in the groin. That's at the very least an inner thigh move, right? Thigh master, but we want that to be felt right here. So it might take 50 million of them for you to feel it there. Hopefully not that much, but it takes some time for the body to get the sensations that will tell you, yes, the right muscles are doing the work finally. So it's all right if it takes a little more time for you than others. Don't worry about that. So now putting the strap around my legs, I'm putting it on like it was a dress or a pair of pants. So I'm pulling it up so that the strap is wrapped around my legs. So when I push out on the strap, my legs don't go anywhere. Again, my feet are underneath my knees, 90 degrees. I'm going to sit in extension, pelvic extension. So I go from my slouch and I focus just on my pelvis. This pull should come from the hips. So I roll an arch into my lower back. Hold it. Now push out on the strap and release. The opposite direction that we just did. I just heard that question. Okay, how far apart do our knees have to be? Good question. You want to make sure they're still hip distance. So when I do that measurement, it's about a fist width. It's not quite 2 fists for me. I have small hands, but if you took the very center line of your kneecaps, you could fit a dollar bill there. That's the length of a dollar bill right between the 2 dots of your kneecaps, right the center. And that same line is usually hip distance. We're talking the joints, hip joints knee joints, ankle joints, hip distance. Make sure you're maintaining sitting in extension from the hips, from the pelvis. If you started to flip-flop and now you're lifting your chest, take a break and reset. Push out, release. These are some really basic moves: sitting abductor presses with a strap, sitting knee pillow squeezes. We did upper spinal floor twists, some frog pullovers, standing at the wall. Really, really simple stuff. We're going to add on to this move. I want you to press out onto the strap and keep pressing. But I want you to give maybe 30% of your effort, because I'm going to add more work to this. If you look at my heels, I'm going to lift those off of the floor, but I'm going to keep the balls of my feet in contact with the floor and get a feel for that. Guaranteed, you're going to feel your calves doing the work. I want you to use your hips to do the work. So pretend that your toes are on something like broken glass or nails. You want to be really light on your toes. Ultimately, you should be able to keep pressing on the strap and lift the feet completely off the floor. Now, that doesn't require calves at all. That requires all hip. So that's what I'm doing, but I'm leaving a little bit of a Band-Aid by allowing you to keep your toes on the floor. So pretend you're picking your feet up off of the floor, but give yourself a little bit of a break. Leave your toes on the floor. So this is an easier version. This is sitting heel raises while we're pressing out on the strap. I know you feel it. And somebody told me not to beat you guys up today because there's a lot of people who are new. But raise your hand. How many of you feel like you're getting beat up already? Because this is so challenging. As simple as it is, I know I'm feeling it, but I have to laugh through it because I have to teach you guys. And you're watching me, so I have to do this work. Again, if this doesn't feel right for you, maybe something's hurting. I don't know. I don't live in your body. Just skip the move. Go back to a previous move that felt good to your body. Do a few more of these. Remember, you want to sit in extension. So still keeping that little arch into the lower back. Out of this move, you know what? I'm going to give you sit to stands. Let's do it. We're just going to do it. You're going to interlace your hands behind your head. If that's not something that you can do, you can put your fingertips on your shoulders or even on your hips. I'll accept that. But I want you to keep your thoracic, your upper back, in extension. So you want to keep the shoulders back and down, just like the other moves that we were doing earlier. You're going to keep your feet right where they were, stand up, and sit back down. One of my clients, she can't even get up anymore. So she's at the point where she's doing this. Okay, I'll take it. I'll take it over and over. And we do that until she can't do it anymore. You guys, I'm only giving you 10. So keep your elbows back and down if your hands are behind your head and you're able to do that. If your hands are on your shoulders, keep your hands on your shoulders and keep your elbows back and down. You want to keep the shoulders back and down here. I'm just standing up and sitting down. Notice I'm not allowing myself to turn around, put my hand down, and use my hand to sit down. That's what we want to avoid. We need to get the hips back in training here. God, this feels so good. I just want to do 20 more. When you're done standing up, you're going to stand up and take your strap off of your legs. And walk around a little bit. Whew. Feels good. In fact, give yourself another test. Let's do it. Stand in place. Halfway through, we're going to do another assessment because why not? So the moves that we did earlier, we kind of marched in place, felt where we are. Now what's going on with your body? Are you leaning left, right, forward, back, maybe in a circle? I bet you feel a little more stable. Right. Now check it out. Pick up a leg. Knee comes up to hip height. I don't care which side. Check it out. It can be better. It can be worse. It can't be the same because we just gave the body so much input. It can't be the same. You can go ahead and fold forward. Check it out. What we're doing is looking for what is different, what changed. And if anything changed for you, that is hope. let's hope that, hey, you know what? My body's not broken. It's fixing itself because it's not broken. So we're good to go. Okay, everybody. I am going to take you right back down to the floor just for a few more exercises, and then we're just going to get the heart rate up a little bit. Take your strap and your block with you. Everybody who likes to do putting a roll underneath your lower back, we're going to stay in the hook lying position for just a little while. So if you do like doing the roll, go ahead and grab your roll. That roll is not for everybody. That's for people who've been with me for a while and they know what's going on with their posture. Okay. We're going to put the strap around the ankles and we're going to put the block in between the knees. This one's our double switch. When you put the strap around your ankles, you might have to tighten it up just a little bit because it just came off of your legs. And again, we want to keep the knees and the ankles hip distance. I also want to keep my feet parallel. So again, this distance, remember that dollar bill thing I told you about? It's about the length of a dollar bill between the ankles and the knees. When we do this work, we're going to push in on the block. Same time, we're going to push out on the strap. Your feet are going to want to do this. Don't do it. Keep your feet on the floor. This is motion that should be coming from your hip. So if you notice your feet are doing this, it's a compensation. It's your feet doing work that your hips have either forgotten how to do or are getting so lazy, they're asking your feet to do it. So our double switch, knees go in, ankles push out, and then relax. So this is another over and over exercise. And I want to stress here because I do it all the time. If you push really hard, you're going to end up compensating. So give 50% of your effort on this. It's light. If you cannot get this simultaneous, then just work on it in segments. Yes, you can do this sitting in a chair. You don't have to lay on the floor. You can sit in a chair and put this strap around your ankles. Just get creative. So you can segment it. You can go push your knees in and you'll feel your ankles kind of want to push out at the same time. So you'll go knees, ankles, rest. Knees, ankles, rest. Or you can go ankles, knees, rest. Ankles, knees, rest. It will get simultaneous as you practice. You might notice that one leg's doing more work than the other, but that should clear itself up when you dial back the effort. We want to give the other leg time to catch up. And that's what we're working for here. I had a humdinger of a routine for us today. I think we're going to do it. We're at least going to do part of it. At least going to do, oh gosh, we got bear crawls and mountain climbers, imaginary jump rope. I think we did that last week. That was fun. It's fun for me. Because someone sent me a great video. I'm going to have to get everybody's email and I'll just send it out to everybody. There's an Instagram. Someone's grandma did something that I can't do. And she was 90 years old, so they claimed. And she rolled from this position straight up into a stand. I can't do it without crossing my legs, so bravo to her. But that gives me the opportunity to tell you guys, if anybody is younger than 90, you've got no excuse, right? All right, we are gonna switch this. We're not gonna add the lift today. You're gonna put the block where your ankles are, and you're gonna put the strap up where your knees are. Go ahead and give it a slide. Now you'll probably have to open up the strap. Okay. So again, my feet are parallel. They stay parallel. Hopefully your block or your pillow is going to help retain that parallel position. Same idea here. Wherever the strap is, we're going to push out on it. Wherever the block is, we're going to push in on it. Again, I'm using my roll because I know that my lower back now deviates towards being more flat and the spine should be an S curve. So I'm just helping remind it where it needs to go while I do my strengthening work. And yet again, you can do this sitting in a chair. You don't have to be laying on the floor to do this. All I'm doing is pushing out on the strap with my knees and pushing in on the block with my ankles. and my feet. And I already did it. I'm pushing so hard. My legs are going back. Dial it down, Kim. 50% of your work. Okay. So tone down the effort. Try to get a balanced force between pushing out on the knees and squeezing in on the block. You want it to be as even as you can make it. But with that being said, a lot of this work cannot be consciously done. The only thing that's going to help change the posture and keep the right tissues doing their work is repetition. Or a good amount of emotional force, because, and I think in one of my blogs, these fitness instructors love to say it takes 200 something repetitions in order to make it what do they say? In order for the body to memorize it and keep it a habit and change a new pattern. And I said BS to that, because if you get into a traumatic situation once, your body certainly remembers that, and it can remember that for decades. So if you just add a little bit of trauma, a little bit of emotion, boom, it's in there. So I do call BS on that. In normal circumstances, yeah, maybe. But so if I come there and I beat you with a wet noodle, maybe your body will remember this. Just a few more, guys. I'm going to start getting the heart rate up. Maybe I'll show you how to do some push-ups, give you the opportunity to do some mountain climbers, some tougher stuff. You know what? You know what's fun? Going under the imaginary rope. I do enjoy that. We're going to do that today. That's what I want to do. Oh, this feels fantastic. Does everybody feel new muscles turning on, new tissues waking up? Challenging, right? I know what we're going to do. All right, we're done with this now. We're going to take the strap off, move our stuff out of the way. All right. Don't get too involved, Kim, with explaining this way too much. I want you guys to just have fun, especially if you're new. Don't think too hard about doing the right thing, even though I get really in depth with my explanations. Don't think about doing what's right, what's wrong, what's it. Just have a little fun if you're new. We're going to do side unders. So I want you guys to imagine. I'm taking my captain's course again, so I've got plenty of lines here. Imagine this nice line, okay? It's the limbo line from here to here. I'm not going to go under it like limbo. I'm going to go sideways under it. So when you do this, I want you to think about keeping your whole body facing forward. We're going to get really deep into the legs, and we're going to get the hips to wake up. So here's how I cue it. My feet stay hip distance at first. It's a squat, so I break it down. I leave my hands out of it. My hands don't end up on my legs. I leave my hands out. So I squat, I break it down. Now, I'm going to extend my right leg under my imaginary line. But notice, I'm not going to shift my weight with the same move. I extend the leg. My body stays in the same spot. So I'm loading my left leg. Feet stay parallel. Now the shift. I shift under my imaginary line. All my weight is now on my right leg. Replace the leg. Stand up. Simple, right? Let's do this for 2 minutes. We're going to do side unders, just like that. Don't get too tied up in the details. Just have fun with it. Break it down, extend the leg, shift the weight, replace, stand up. You got it. Over and over, either with my cues or to your own cues. You go as low as you want to go or as high as you want to go. Again, the goal is fun, but you want to keep the body as square forward as you can. So we're forcing the hips to do some work. You feel it? Bet you do. Next, I'm going to show you how to splice some right hand laid 3-ply line. Oh. If this is too much work for you, take a break. Go get yourself a coffee. Get yourself a glass of water. One more minute. So we're really trying to get the hips to become our driving force again. Biggest joints in the body, surrounded by the biggest muscles in our body. But for most of us, they're getting weak and they're shutting down and they're starting to force the other muscles to compensate, usually our upper body. And we want to wake up the hips and the butt. Everybody looks beautiful. I can see about 7 people on my screen. Keep it going. Again, you don't have to do praying hands, but since I was a yoga instructor, I have that tendency to come to that position. Oh, time's up. Fantastic. I'm going to give you another move. Let's do some push-ups. Your choice. You can do them on the floor. You can do them against the wall. This is not a hard move. Easy push-ups against the wall, against the door. No big deal. When we do this style of push-up, though, I want you to think about keeping your shoulders back and down. So the shoulders stay back and down, and you hold them there while you do your push-up. Again, I'm keeping my feet hip distance, and your arms are going to go where they feel comfortable for you. Perfect world, they'll be right under your shoulders. But if it bothers you and your arms hurt, or maybe your shoulders hurt, maybe you want to do another move. Maybe some of the moves earlier that you experienced that you really like, go for it. So we're just going to do 10 push-ups. This is what they look like on the wall. The further away you stand from the wall, the harder it's going to be. You can do it on a chair. That tends to be tough for me because the chair moves. Or you can take it to the floor. I might do a few on the floor, still working on the strength of the shoulder. It does not want to go back, so it doesn't recruit all the muscles. So it looks kind of funny, but that's where I'm going to squeeze them out. So your choice, everybody. You got different ways to do push-ups. Squeeze out 10, squeeze out 1. I don't care how low you go, how deep you go. Oh, that arm's given up. Whatever it was for you, good. We did some push-ups. Don't open the door, the thing's against it. Thanks, drop that. Okay, we're gonna do walking around, stork. Interlace your hands behind your head and draw your elbows back and down. Again, if that hurts, hands on shoulders or hands on hip. Stork walk looks like this. So I'm picking my knees up with a really strong motion, but I'm also thinking about staying in line with my hip. So we're just gonna march around for 1 minute. Don't be afraid to go backwards. It's a good thing. Just make sure you're doing it safely. There's nothing behind you. I mean, that's common sense. But I've learned nowadays, common sense is not all that common. When I have my hands behind my head, my focus is pulling my shoulders back and down. So I'm really trying to pull my elbows backwards. Worst comes to worst, if this is really, really difficult, you can put your hands on your hips and just march in place. Just do what you can. So we squeezed out push-ups, side unders. We did some, oh, our woodpecker's here, our daily woodpecker. Sorry, I think they're so beautiful. So we did our push-ups, side unders. We did some therapy on the ground. Oh, we've got time. I love it. Let's do some more stuff against the wall. Let's do, no, it's a little too tough. We'll do windmill. Not everybody is going to have a nice open flat wall space. You might be like me with a baseboard. So I'm going to imagine the wall behind me. I'm going to stand with my feet hip distance. They're right underneath my hips. And my arms are out to a T. If that gets too intense, you can put your hands on your hips. So I'm only moving through my waist. I'm leaning left and I'm leaning right, back and forth. Yeah, your arms are working. You're going to feel it. But again, we want to keep the legs in place. I'm not sliding my hips back and forth. So be wary of that. And I'm not lifting my heels as I work. Feet stay on the ground. I'm just moving my waist. Now I'm going to stand my feet out wider, about midway between my widest and my narrowest. Feet are parallel. So it's maybe 1.5, 2 feet wide. Leaning over, back and forth. This is standing windmill. And this can get done sitting in a chair. No excuses. I'm going to stand my legs out even wider than this next. As wide as you can while remaining in control. Feet point straight ahead. Standing windmill. And the whole wall deal is me pretending like I'm leaning on the wall behind me and just keeping everything against the wall nice and straight. So there's no twisting or turning. Come back to our beginning position. Feet underneath your hips. Arms out. I didn't beat you guys up too bad. And at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, at least 9 of you are still here. Now we're going to go through that sequence again where we test our body where we're at. We can march in place and notice. Am I leaning more forward, more back, more left, more right? Is it worse? Maybe I just made it worse by giving your body different exercises since our last time we tested. And pick up one leg, don't care which one, and just notice. Oh, hey, I'm not twisting my body to get the leg up anymore. It's just coming straight up. Maybe, whoa, I feel like I'm gonna fall over this time. Maybe. Just notice. Bend over. So this is just our sequence of functional tests. Last move of the day. I'm gonna stick you guys back against the wall or against the door. No block this time, just stand. So if you did it like last time, if you have that different shape in your behind, looks like my thing keeps falling. And that different shape in your behind, you're gonna make sure your feet maybe come a little bit further away from the wall. The point of this move is to stack your load-bearing joints, if you remember what they are. I'm going to add a little bit more to this move for my last minute. I'm going to internally rotate from both of my hips, just because I know what my body likes to do and how it likes to deviate. So this is another opportunity for you guys to learn and see, does my body like this? Does it feel better when it's not? It might feel worse. Maybe you have to come straight again. So I'm pointing my toes pigeon-toed, keeping my knees straight. That was good work today. I really enjoyed doing the side unders and the push-ups. You guys make me accountable because I know you're all watching. So thank you. Okay, so a few more seconds here and I will let you guys go. And thank you all for, I guess, reading Newsday or subscribing to someone's email list. And thank you to that person for letting everybody know about this class. It's really lovely to see new people. I hope I've helped you at least learn a little bit about yourself and hopefully not hate me too much. I hope you learned something and I'll see you next week. Oh, smiles, good. Have a good one, everybody.